Welcome to November the 11th service, which is on November the 11th. Today is a particularly important astrological day as well, I understand from several sources. And there are some important energies being sent in from much higher realms to help us in this time of transition. So welcome tonight, and we'll be doing some healing work, and I hope that those who join us later on in the video part of this, when we post it, will also be part of the healing service, and we'll go through that with us as well. So thank you very much for coming. My name is Reverend Mary Huber. I'm pastor of the Community Chapel of Holistic Healing, and we are a non-denominational spiritual fellowship founded in 1977 by Reverend Michelle Lusan, a mystic and channel of the multidimensional consciousness. Our mission has always been to aid in personal and global transformation. And we continue. This evening we'll be going a little bit differently than we normally do. If you've seen our services before, I have a little agenda in mind, and the most important part that we're going to do is the meditation / healing section. And I hope at the end that you will engage in a little conversation about veterans and the importance of not only their work, but your connection with that topic. Hopefully we'll have all of that later on after we go through our healing. So if you have muted your microphone, I will begin with the recitation of the faith, hope, and charity affirmations, which we know as the three healers, because they balance all of the systems energetically in our body, and they're very powerful. Our faith affirmation: I believe in the spiritual existence of myself as a perfect image of the divine creator. In this reflection that is my physical embodiment, I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. Hope affirmation: acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity, I hope for realization, awareness, and acknowledgement of the existence of the great I am within myself. And the charity affirmation: in understanding faith and knowing hope, I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my creator. So help me God. It's a powerful affirmations, and they are found on our website. For those who have not found us yet, we are at CCWH.com, and there is a menu that you can pull down, get about sharing and getting together, and under that you will find the affirmations that were channeled by Reverend Michelle Lusan. So we're going to begin with a prayer for peace. Hopefully. Divine Creator, we ask that the light of highest awareness fill the minds and hearts of those who are open to your light. We ask that they be assisted and strengthened in their resolve to achieve peace using peaceful means. May their minds, their hearts, and their actions reflect the divine will to good for all. Comfort, strengthen, and support those who are in a difficult situation in their mind, body, or spirit. Bring confidence to them that your divine hand is at work in their life. Amen. Okay. Well, welcome to those who just joined us. Appreciate that you did. And we are beginning a time, as I said initially, of some important astrological events are happening. And because of those astrological events, you will find that we have some extra energies to help in our transition process. When I thought about having the service this evening, I thought I'd begin with a background on my own, I guess, idea that has been generated over a long period of time. I'm going to begin by saying that in a few days, I will be 87 years old. And of course, that makes me a child in the World War II era. And I remember many of the highlights from that time because it was very traumatic. I was aware while I was young, I was aware of the consternation and the problems that the people around me were voicing. And it was a very tense era for everyone. Now, at that time, the World War II era time, the average person in this country was relatively poor or poor. And you didn't have a lot of wherewithal. And the war came and demanded a lot of resources to go to them. Everything that we did had to be done with a lot of conservation in mind. Everyone had a victory garden of some sort, and you had to raise your own vegetables. Everything was rationed, and food then became an issue for some people, even in this country. And as a child going to grade school, I remember, gathering my tin cans and jumping up and down on them and taking them flattened out to the school so that they could be sent in for the war efforts. And of course, there are always opportunities to buy these little, I forget how much they were. I don't know, they were very relatively inexpensive little stamps that you put into a bigger book. And by the time you finish putting them in the book, you had a whole war bond that you had to for your own self that could be cashed in after the war. So it was always being an investment in America. That's the whole theme. I remember my cousins and my uncles all went to war, both in the European and the Pacific theaters. And there was always a worry about them coming back. And we were fortunate as a family to have all of them come back alive and intact and okay. But, going around the neighborhoods, you would find that there were people who didn't have that same thing happen for them. And I remember very clearly I was very dedicated to my cousin. He was very dear to me, and it was very distressing to me that he was gone. And my aunt would read letters from him, but half of it would be blacked out. They always did a lot of censoring of the letters, but I was very glad to hear from him. And he was so dear to me. I had proposed to him before he left. As a child of 7, I had asked him if he would wait until I grew up. And I was wondering why everyone laughed. But I really felt very strongly that he was a very deep heart from me to him. There was a lot of heart connection. But everything went fine after that. But of course, that wasn't the end of all the wars that I know about in my lifetime. But I do know that there have been many young people, mostly young people, that have been affected by this. When I was in my, I think I was around 23, when I was in Boston. I went back to college, and my roommate took me to the Veterans Hospital in Boston to see her cousin, I believe, who was there. And when I went into this big ward there were like 12, maybe more, maybe there were 15 beds in that one huge room. They were all paralyzed young men, my age. And it was such a shock to me, even as a nurse, to see that, because I hadn't experienced that degree of affliction on any of my patients that I had. Of course, I had only been a nurse for a few years. but it made such an impression on me that these young people could be in that position and have to go through that. And that, sent me on my own little journey of looking at war and the people who went to it. But because I was metaphysically inclined, and because of the teachings that were given to me over the years, I know that we came in not being aware of it here as a personality, but certainly coming in, our soul was aware that of the era that we'd be coming into and the times that we would have to face. And it's not a consolation to anybody who had to go through it, but those who met their challenges along the way are very honorable. They honored the spirit that sent them. They knew that this was given to them for a reason, even though they didn't probably ever come to grips with why. But from the metaphysical standpoint, it's clear that we always have our mission coming in from this, and because we have that mission, and then we fill that mission, there's wonderful karma that comes from that. There's wonderful blessings and benefits that come because we, in spite of the difficulties, people have risen up and met what they had to meet in the lifetime. And that's how I see the veterans today who are been through any one of the wars, whether they were a popular war or not. Their soul knew that when they came in that they were going to have this great challenge. And many of them today maybe need to know that their successful completion of going and just being part of that and coming back with the puzzle of why. There are many reasons for things to happen in this universe. And one of them is that we ourselves stand up and fill out what God wants us to do. It was, the term that I don't actually hear anymore, and maybe it's just I miss it, but there used to be something about serving God and country. And that is true. And the service to God that's rendered is the dedication to your soul, that you responded and that you fulfill that obligation. And remember that Jesus had said at one point in his life to his apostles, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's and to God the things that are God's. So God's part was done and Caesar's part was done as well, because they responded to a call from their country to go to a war that I'm sure 99.9% of them didn't want to really go to. Their country asked them, their country demanded it, and they fulfilled that obligation. And there is something from on high that understands that the imbalances that any of us are experiencing in today's world, this is not a perfect world. It's not a perfect country. War is never a solution to anything, but human beings have created it. God never creates a war. So because of the human factor, we are trying to settle that now. And we're coming into a time when these things have been settled. This is a wonderful place to be part of the universe now that has given to us the opportunity to come through this difficult time where there's a change of eras, where the old is going and the new is coming in, and the new is coming in that will present to us a world of peace, which every veteran knows that is really why they believed that they were going, was to help that happen in the world. If they did their part, they could contribute to that. And they are to be saluted in every possible way because of their obligation was filled, their dedication to their own inner calling to respond was done, and they completed the action that they started. So this country is a very special place. It was begun by ascended masters who knew that there had to be on the planet, in order for us to get to this place, in order for us to come to the change of ages, there had to be a country who would embody freedom. And this was planned ahead of time from Spirit, that the United States is that country. And it was founded way back centuries ago with the understanding that this is what's happening. This is a country where freedom will be held. Now, over time, again, the human factor has come in and has made a mess of things here and there. But we're going in the right direction. There are so many in spirit, so many high spirits, so many dimensions of spirit that are dedicated to making sure that this is the end result. Peace will come to the world, and the United States will lead the way. This is the destiny of the United States. This is why we have an angel of restoration and renewal covering this country. This is why we have the Lady Liberty, who is actually, that statue represents a great goddess in spirit, a great spirit, spiritual guide for us, the goddess of liberty, the goddess of freedom. There are many goddesses and those who are higher level spirits who are dedicated to this world becoming peaceful, because this affects the entire planet. And as we have studied metaphysics, we know it's not just this planet that's affected. It is the evolution of many dimensions and many other places in the universe that we know nothing about, but we are part of that chain. And this is an important part of the chain because we were the place where free will was granted. Don't know how many other of these dimensions were given that, but certainly we came in and are exhibiting the free will to go back to God. This country is under God, has always been under God, and needs to always be known that it is under God, because that dedication to a higher dimensional level of this country is so important. You know, just like a person, this country is embodied by a spirit. And that spirit is the spirit of freedom. And that spirit of freedom is multidimensional. And that lives on those multidimensional levels the way we do. And it is important that we understand our role is to serve the role of the changing over to the peaceful, loving, and kind world that is in the works right now. This day is another one of those astrological events. The energies that are being sent in are being directed to us for this very reason. Now, initially, it may not look to be very good, but it is going to eventually work its way through, and it will come at the other end. It is important that those who serve this country know that their efforts were always part of this, always part of the greater picture. And their service to and dedication to this country is very well known to Spirit. And their own I am presence, the soul within them knows that they have accomplished this. Now, this evening, I think what I have come to understand is there are those who have come back like my own family members did. They came back whole and intact and went on with their lives. But there are many who did not. And many who were afflicted with all kinds of problems were and are. Some have resolved some of those, and some have ongoing problems that are just shaping their lives. And as we pray and as we send this love to them, this is a real energy that is being distributed from a group of people who are dedicated to healing out to the specific group of people who maybe are still struggling or maybe need to be lifted up in their spirits, because it's the journey is still theirs to go through. And we'd like you to know that this is important to us. And I believe that it will be exponentially increased in our energy work tonight because of those extra energies coming in from Spirit. Now, Saint Germain is the great spirit who has been very keenly involved in this. As a matter of fact, has led the way. And he is one of the great directors over this country. He has led us from his vantage point and is engaged in all manner of other saints. He's engaged with Jesus. He's engaged with all of the ascended masters to work with him. And his great calling was to bring a level of intense vibration into our world. Now it's for everybody, but since his special mission is the United States and its freedom and its evolvement into the true free society that it was meant to be from the beginning, his overriding influence is with us. And he has given to us something that is known as the violet ray or the violet flame. And running on that violet flame, attuning to that, is a very important part of bringing in peace. He has a great connection to Kuan Yin, who is a goddess was the Eastern component to Mary, Mother Mary. He's very much part of that and has that feminine influence coming in. The feminine influence now from God is the one that brings in the peace and the love and the compassion and the understanding and the ability to reach out and see each other as part of one great body of humanity, all of us in the same boat, all of us wanting to live in a society where there is a flow and a grace and a freedom and a lot of joy and energy to share by all. So this is our real dedication here. And those who need to be lifted now, those who have served this country so well, I want to offer our help to them this evening by going into a meditation, which will also be a component of first we go into meditation. For those who have not seen this, our group before, you bring yourself into your own inner world. All healing is within. All healing is stimulated inside of each of us for ourselves. But the inside part is the God going in for the grace of God, going into the heart where God lives, where the connection to God is. In this lifetime, we have this silver cord that connects from the heart, our own heart, and it goes to the heart of God, our maker. And while we're here, that still is there. And we follow that line, that golden and silver thread to the source. And we ask for that healing. And this evening, with the help of Saint Germain and many others in spirit, we will ask for additional healing and additional grace to be given to those who have served this country and those who continue to serve it so very well. And we'll go on now to our meditation. And as we are seated in our chairs, we always begin meditation or any kind of relaxation exercise by taking deep breaths. It brings additional oxygen to the body, to the brain. It expands, it relaxes, it immediately relaxes. Taking deep breaths will always calm us down. And in that calming, you can then settle back into your chair and into your inner space. So by taking in this breath now, we can also imagine that the breath is from a much higher level coming in. If you can imagine the air being generated from a much higher source, it comes in as pure, wonderful, sweet air from on high. And as you bring that in, you're bringing in light. The sparkling light of spirit comes in with the air. This is the prana that the Indian masters and yogis always knew about. The energy of the universe, bring it into your body, and then distribute it through your body. Allow your brain to expand in great amounts of light. Allow your own beings in spirit who come, the angelic realm can come near you now. God can send them in as their messengers to you because you're open now. And you breathing is bringing that closer to you. And as this light is filling your body, and as those beings are being drawn magnetically to you, you know that you're in this great bubble of beautiful acceleration of light around you. And some of it sparkles and some of it can change color, but it's so beautiful. And you're like in your own snow globe, your own spiritual snow globe. And it sparkles and it shines and it relaxes you. Because coming into that area now are those who are so preciously attuned to God, those who are so pure, they can come near you now. And you might begin to feel their presence around you, like a wonderful mother, a love of the Father, a loving parental love, a love of a great friend. It all surrounds you. You bring that now toward yourself because you have relaxed and you know now that you are not in your outside world, you're in the inner world of your own being. And you travel there by allowing your imagination to take you there and opening the door of possibilities. The possibility of bringing God closer to you and you closer to God. And in this brilliant space, now you might see filtering down from on high this gorgeous violet color. It's scintillating, it changes in color in the violet because it is so high level and beautiful. It's hard to even grasp it, but you can feel it settling all the way through you, taking away anything that was in you that was resisting God, anything that has hurt yourself. All of those things now are settled now, and they go and they flow from your feet into the earth, and the earth will take them, the energy, and use it in a constructive way now for the benefit of the earth. And you are a part of the earth, and you feel your earth feet, but you feel now that your head is in the stars. You span from earth to the heavens. And now, in that great expanded place, I want all of the veterans to step there with us. We invite the I am presence of every veteran to come now to our gathering. We invite them because we want to share with them the loving embrace that we have of the healing energies of the divine. And as we see them filing in, we know that they are surrounded by greater presence than they even realize is with them. They are here waiting for a healing experience, an expansion of our heart of love to go out. And as we go, we can go from one to the other. And I'm asking the healers now to use your techniques that you know are working with people in your world. And we share that now with the individuals and with the group. And it's a very large group. But each one will receive through the healing efforts that we have asked for from our own I Am Presence to present to you in your spirit. For all of those veterans, we ask that whatever method we choose to deliver will be given to them. And as a group, we might be able to breathe more healing light to be made available to each person, regardless of their condition and regardless of whether they perceive a need for this or not. There are those who have so many disabilities that it's easy to know that they are needing. And there are those with hidden areas who also need our help. Hidden areas that need to be opened to God and given up. It's such a pleasure to be able to serve as a channel. We request respectfully and prayerfully that God answers these prayers for each person, and that each is now given an opportunity to connect very deeply with the available energy now. Saint Germain is certainly guiding this. Jesus is here with us, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, and many others. Hilarion, the great master healer in charge of so much healing work, has a great entourage of healing angels attending. And there are many others, the masters, who have their entourage, who have specific work to do, and they know where to go, and they are attending to each soul who has chosen to join us this evening from the veterans. And we allow time and relaxation. We allow the healing to sink into the many levels that are needed. And although God does not need time, the human part of us does. This is a vast, it's a stadium full. And there is joyful lights bouncing all around in the stadium of people, of souls who are here. There is a great feeling of joy and celebration. We might see an angelic band come into the stadium to play the harmonic music, which is also very healing. And the frequencies to which everyone needs to achieve in order for healing to happen is being managed by these great beings. And we feel that even within our own being here on the planet, our bodies have an elevated vibration, a new frequency of light. We are moving with this new dimensional energy that's coming in. We are taking hold of that, taking hold of it like a comet, and it's going through in a very high, joyful way. It's like a chariot almost. It's so beautiful, the light energy that has entered. And we see that it is so bright and brilliant that it is radiating out to other galaxies. It is so powerful. And now the light has filled every soul and their lower vehicle who has attended. And the brilliant light, we now ask that they themselves make the request to lock that light in. Lock that light in now. Keep it. Don't let it dissipate. You don't have to let it dissipate. Let it lock in. And we ask that the angelic realm help them find the key to lock in that beautiful energy of healing that they have received. And now when you hear that all is well, all is well. And we can now thank those great beings who have been here with us on behalf of ourselves for allowing us to be that channel, on behalf of those who have come for the healing. We thank God for the privilege of serving. And we know that we have been joined by the highest levels of the universe, who now rejoices for the healing that has happened. And as we have thanked God for this, and we always are thankful, we now see that the souls are filing out of the stadium and returning now with higher frequencies, higher energy, higher spirits within their own life. More joy, more energy for all. And now we can, as the healers, remove ourselves as we allow that scene to dissipate. We are still in our great bubble of light, where we thank our personal guides, angelic beings, masters for helping us, being with us. We are grateful to be the channels, and we thank them for their presence. And as we now begin to withdraw our own energies from that dimension, and we now bring ourselves back down through the dimensions to rejoin our physical form in this three-dimensional world, we too can lock in that energy. We too need that key, because that has affected us as well for the best and for the highest. And we lock it in place so that we keep those new higher energies now that we have acquired in our daily lives. And we breathe deeply again, settling back to rejoin our day-to-day world, knowing this has been accomplished, knowing now that the work has been done. And we are back. I think I'm back off of the share screen, am I not? Okay. I thought this might be a time when you would like to, if you'd like to share anything that you have as a story, as an observation, as a prayer, doesn't matter, on behalf of this important day that is so important on so many levels.
Well, Mary, I'd like to thank you for doing the service and everybody that's participating. I think it's a very important thing, and I'm just proud of Americans and America, and I worry sometimes that we all take what we have for granted, and it can easily slip away. And many people have lost their lives in their youth. America's been through a revolution and a civil war, 2 world wars. Of course, Vietnam, which I know about, Iraq and Afghanistan. So many people have given everything for us and our opportunities to even be able to freely speak our mind or have a meeting like this. And it's hard to remember that when most of us, we've always known that. So I'm very heartened that CCWH would do this. And I can just tell you briefly, I guess some of you know, I was drafted and went to Vietnam, and people think we have a divided country now. I think it was far more divided then. And I actually marched in the streets when I was in the service, not in my uniform. It was a very confusing time. But I did serve and I did go to Vietnam. But you know what? I was in a base in Tuiwa on the coast. And they had a little, USO had this little library, 1-room library. And I was just looking on the shelves and I picked this book off of the shelf and it was called There Is a River, about Edgar Cayce's life. And I didn't know who Edgar Cayce was, the greatest psychic of the 20th century. And it just completely changed my whole understanding. And I could, we were there to kill other people. We were there to fight, and that's what they wanted you to be. wasn't a very good warrior. I was just in the Signal Corps, so I didn't kill anybody or got murdered a few times. But that changed my life, and I learned about psychic readings and past lives and karma. And I remember looking out and seeing, I already knew this was the most ridiculous war we'd ever been in. It was a waste of human life. But then I understood how blind mankind has been and how we've been cut off from our higher consciousness. But in those 50 years, I don't know, maybe it's 60 now, I'm older now and I think more to the past than I do to the future. And we have really, really changed. And the light is really coming into the earth. Millions of people are waking up. Our consciousness is being raised. But at the same time, there's those that do not want the change and are not open to the light are resisting more and more. And I'm afraid there'll be more war and more struggle and very hard times ahead of us for the rest of the decade. But it's so powerful that you would pray and think of this, and we remember who we are as people of light all over the world. I don't mean just America. And I know when I came back, and I didn't have a hard time in Vietnam. I had it pretty easy. Just a couple bullets went over my head and I got mortared, but nothing bad really happened. But I didn't even realize it at the time, but it took me about 3 years to meld back into the society and I don't know, just relate to life again. And so many thousands of these veterans and the newer veterans, they have wounds inside that you don't see and you don't know about. And so Veterans Day is really a wonderful thing. And the prayers that you send out are important because it's not something veterans want to talk about. You don't talk about when you went to war, you saw people killed, or that's tucked away in the past. So anyway, I don't want to take all the time, but I just wanted to thank all of you. And I really liked the prayers and the prayers for those that you don't even see disabilities. I'm fine. I'm not suffering from some catastrophe, but there's many people that that practically destroyed their life, even if they weren't wounded. So I just commend you all and thank you for those kinds of prayers for all of the veterans.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
And thank you, Howard. I forgot that you were a veteran. I'm very pleased that you were able to come tonight and share. It's important that people realize that there's so much that the younger people don't understand at all. And so when you have that history and you go through something, it's something you hope that the next generation doesn't ever even have to touch on, because it will be the better world, the new world that we're building. But as you said, I agree, we still have a patch to get through. And those who are of light know that they need to stay strong and to stay in the light and do not get discouraged. The most important thing is to stay positive and to understand that God is in charge, that there are, from what I have heard from several sources of who are channels or say they're channels, And I believe this to be true within myself, that there is so much help that is being given to us that we're out of time. They can see time, they're out of the time frame, so that they can see past, present, future, all of that. And they know that the end is coming to this bad part of our world, the bad times, that the peace is coming. There is a known time. Matter of fact, I was given a date one night and the exact month, day, and year. And unfortunately, when I was coming out awake and I had heard this would be the end of all of this, and I thought, I was trying to figure out how to hold on to it. I start calculating. And I start, oh, well, my granddaughter will be an old woman like me by the time that absolutely everything is settled. So that's going to be toward the end of this century. It's going to dissipate. Some of the larger conflicts will yet, because of all of the people who are negative, who want to still have their way, that's still here. But as they are dealt with from spirit, even, this will gradually go away. But there are always things to settle and things to rearrange, and there will be always a little bit of figuring things out. But I think it'll take some much more time. But I think you're right, Howard. This decade will be a bit rougher than we would hope it to be, but we're going to get by it. We're going to get through it, and we need to be sure that we understand that everybody's in the same boat. And those of light are praying. And even if we can't communicate for a while, we are still going to communicate in spirit. So that's important to know. And then we'll keep that thought going. So, yes, earlier on, Michelle is a great one for, we used to do a lot of singing America the Beautiful in our meetings that we held in person. We did that over many decades, where Michelle would energize that as we are to sing that today. And I was trying to find something that I could play, and I kept thinking, well, there's just too much going on here for me, because I didn't have it set up in a bank of PowerPoint. I couldn't figure out how to get it all together and play it. And the only one I had was a recording by the United States Air Force Band, the Singing Sergeants, playing or singing America the Beautiful. But we used to do a pretty good job of singing that. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get a musician to be part of this group, and I still don't have it. But yes, I think our dedication to this country needs to be, and people need to be more aware that this, all of the efforts that are being made to restore the Constitution needs to be restored. There's a lot of work that has to be done before a lot of other things can happen, and people want the end part to be in the front of it, and you can't do it that way. Human beings don't function that way. But we'll get there. Anybody else have like to make a comment, a prayer, observation, anything that you'd like to bring in today?
Hey, Mary, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to thank Howard. Howard, that was so beautiful what you shared. So many things hit me on a bunch of different levels, but one of them specifically was that our country has seen divisive times like this, severely polarized times before, and we've come through it. And that gives me such hope. I can't tell you how important that is for me to hear right now. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, not just for your service, because you're so you but I'm telling you, I haven't been through anything like having bullets fly over my head. So I just want you to know that I appreciate you being their job and My dad was in the Navy, and he flew
Brenda, you're breaking up quite a bit. Brenda, your audio is a bit garbled. Brenda is coming from Hawaii.
So
She has a tough assignment.
right. I just did you. So I'll just cut it short. That thank you, Howard. That was beautiful, and thank you for your service.
Well, we heard you. Thank you very much. I do have a lot of faith in this country. I know people personally now that are very down and think things are horrible, but I really believe America and the light workers of the world will prevail. America will come through all of this. It may even get more difficult. And I think things in the world, what I'm getting in my sessions are, it could get much worse, but we will come through it. And the thing that gives me so much hope is they're just, I don't know how, it's not a number, but there is so much help on the other side from the Company of Heaven, from the Brotherhood of Light. They're there, they're working, but they can't intervene. So we need to ask them for help and use their help and gain their assistance. And it is people like you that do that. We're the ones that do that. Us and thousands of others in America and across the world. And we're gonna make it through. And it's gonna be a better world.
I was
I
just
have
reading.
no doubts about that at all.
I was just reading about Saint Germain, and if you think of a kind of like a toggling thing that happens when you're in spirit, one will make an arrangement where you go in and you're going to be the energy on the ground to ground everything, and the other one is going to be the one helping to send the energy through. And masters do this as well. And in the formation of this country, masters came in. A number of those, the founding fathers were ascended masters embodied, and some of them were not. They were the agents for the ascended master on the other side. And Saint Germain said, "Oh, George Washington was my general he said general in." I forget how he said it, general in the boot in line. And that's why George also was a very elevated soul. He wasn't, I don't know that he was a master himself, but I think he became a master. He was, there was a master who claimed to be George Washington as well. So they come in like that and they help each other out. And the powerful movers of energy have to be embodied. The person, the spirit, the one who's still in spirit can help and send the energy and send the information but the person on the ground has to be the one to do it and move humanity in a direction. And it has to be in a time frame. You can't you can't bring information in that's not in the time frame it belongs in too. And so you become. There are a lot of criticisms of I've seen over the past 5 or 6 years of the founding fathers, and they didn't, they weren't perfect, and they did this and they did that. They were people of their times, and you have to be a person of your time in order to be the one energy who understands the people and knows how to move around in the world. And that's the requirement. So you're not required to be a perfect person here on this planet out of touch with everything in order to bring things in. That's why Jesus had to come in his time, and he couldn't operate outside of his time, although he could easily have. He had to be part of the world as the world existed at the time. So our founding fathers were. So they did the best job that they could, and they did a good job. And we were to hold the, as Ben Franklin said, I'll give you a republic if you can hold it. And I think he had premonitions that there was going to be problems holding on to the republic, but they did the job that they came to do, and this country was founded very well in a way that a lot of other countries were not, for a singular purpose by very high masters in spirit to bring peace to the world. And we're the ground zero. And this is why I wanted to make sure that people understand, while we can send energy to the world, and there are lots of light souls out there who have to be outside of there, the ground zero is here in the United States. So we need to be aware of that and be more actively involved in promoting peace and doing what we can to bring that about, because we're here.
So continue your good work, everybody.
Yes. And all the prayers and all of that go very well, and anything you can do to see who is of light and who is not, and go with the person we perceive as of light, and don't bother with the other one.
I've been reading some of the readings that Michelle had given, and one of the appropriate comments from the source is that it was given in 2008, but it applies to then and forward, is just be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And be the light that you are. You don't have to go do some great thing, or you don't have to convince, just elude that light wherever you go. Just your kindness, and it's the basic teachings of Christ anyway. It's just do what's right and be who you truly are, and don't be afraid to do that. You don't have to convince anybody of anything, but just be the light that you are. And if people will do that, it'll accelerate the change. Negativity has to be exposed to be healed. And so there's been a struggle with racism, and it's been exposed and denounced, and the light shines on it, and it's becoming healed. The suppression of women has been exposed, and light's been shining on it, and it's still being healed. But all these negative things going on have to rise to the surface so they can be corrected. And that's what's going on. And so the work that we do is, as the people of God, regular people, helps bring that about. That's what they tell us from the other side, far more than we understand. We don't realize how much impact we have just from our prayers, just from meetings like this, just going out and doing good and being who you are. So that's all we need to do. That's not all we need to do, but that if you do that, this new world will come sooner, and it's coming. And it's not in doubt, but it's how much pain is it going to take? All right, I'm going to be quiet now.
No, it's okay. Hopefully we can understand that we don't have to go to pain, that we can keep forgiving and blessing and forgiving. The forgiving and the forgiving and the forgiving is the part I think the world could use more of. Not only our own actions, the actions of others, how people have affected us, forgiving the world for doing this. I think forgiveness is a good way to go, and bless everything that you have, and thank God for everything that you have, and let it be. So thank you all for coming.